Carbohydrates. What's the story?
Love carbs.
They're
Carbs
so
with
good.
crust. Yeah, carbs are great. The issue is that our society overconsumes carbs.
Yeah.
So carbs can be used as a tool, but the issue is that people use carbs as like a main energy source for everything. And so the abuse of carbohydrates is the issue. It's not necessarily that carbs are bad. The other issue is, how long have you been overdoing carbs? How many carbs have you been doing that? So the quantity of carbs, how long you've been overdoing carbs, right? And then there's your genetics, right? So a lot of, not a lot, but I have, quite a few clients and friends and stuff that can just eat a ton of carbs and they don't put on any body fat whatsoever. They might be skinny fat. So there's that. They look lean, but they got a lot of body fat kind of underneath. But a lot of people are carb tolerant genetically. So if you're six pack lean, you're legit lean, not just kind of, softy lean, then, carbs might be something that you actually genetically need. I find a lot of people more and more so don't actually need a lot of carbs at all. I personally don't need a lot of carbs. I will be leaner if I don't have carbs. And therefore I need to be really targeted with carbs. So, protein and fats work as a really great energy source, and it provides a different type of energy. It's a slower burn. It helps to maintain focus and stabilize blood sugar. So that's what we're trying to bring in more throughout the daytime. And carbs in the evening, as we've said throughout this whole process, is they help you wind down. The carbs that you have, so like, if you're looking at eating a lot of gluten, for example, and processed carbs, there's going to be an inflammatory response to that. So how you feel afterwards is also going to be part of the equation on like what carbs to eat. If I were to have like a whole bunch of bread and then wake up the next day, I'd probably feel pretty inflamed, might have a bit of a headache, and my system is just kind of tired and sluggish. If I had a whole bunch of white rice or sweet potatoes or rice pasta or something, I'd feel pretty good the next day. Carbs are not necessary, but developing a healthy relationship with carbs is. The more volume you have in workouts, so if you're smashing a lot of volume and a lot of weight, that's a lot of energy that you're moving for. You're going to be more sensitive to carbohydrates afterwards in a good way. So that would be a time to start to ramp up carbs, because the carbs are going to be just sort of sucked right into your body and cells and stuff. If you had a super chill day, or it's like a limber day, flexibility, and you want to try a high carb meal that night, it's probably not the best idea. Stress is important to take into consideration too. People that are pretty high strung, if you're stressed throughout the whole day and you're trying to cut carbs, a low carb diet raises cortisol, stress hormones. So you don't want to add more stress to what your existing baseline is. But I will use, even if somebody has a higher body fat and they're super wired and stressed, I'll actually give them a bit of carbs in the evening to help them wind down. So this will help them to wind down, calm down, and get a better quality sleep. And I'll use carbs for improving the quality of sleep, because if your sleep is off, you're not going to be in a good place for really anything. Muscle building, focus, blood sugar and stuff the next day. You're going to crave more carbs if you're not getting enough sleep. So yeah, carbs are important. They're important to try to have without them for a while. And they're important to really keep your mind on when you start to bring them back in, if you really need them, and what are the signs and symptoms after you've consumed them. So quantity of carbs is important. If you're reintroducing carbs back in, start with like 1 cup of cooked rice, right? If you feel good on that, keep with that. Don't just have 4 whole cups of rice and expect, feel shitty afterwards and then think that carbs aren't your thing. It might be quantity.
Yeah.
Right.